Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister, Ministers, Assistant Ministers, the Honourable Leader of Opposition and Honourable Members of the Parliament. Our viewers joining us in the gallery and on live stream, ni Sambula Vinakasaka, Namaste and a very good afternoon to you all. I rise today in full support of the vision set out by His Excellency, the President, in his opening address of Parliament 2026. His Excellency reminded us that the true strength of Fiji is not measured merely in economic indicators or infrastructure projects, but in our unity, our compassion, and our collective resolve to protect every Fijian, especially the most vulnerable among us. Before I proceed further, Mr. Speaker, please allow me to acknowledge the women of Fiji. To the women of Fiji, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. Equality must not remain a promise, it must become your lived reality. To the women who've gone before us, to those in our homes, in our communities, and in this august house, to those who are struggling in silence, those who lead with courage, those who pave the way for the others, and those who work quietly so others may succeed, I say a happy International Women's Day. And to the men who stand beside our mothers, sisters, daughters, aunts, and nieces, thank you. If we are to mend our Fiji, we must journey together. For if we journey together, we will journey far. Mr. Speaker, I echo His Excellency's heartfelt appreciation to our faith leaders. Their partnership with law enforcement and community authorities in confronting illicit drugs is not only commendable, it is essential. At a time when drugs threaten our youth and undermine the very fabric of our society, strengthening of our families and community solidarity are among our most powerful defense. Mr. Speaker, our government is very focused on targeted alleviation of poverty. And after Cabinet's endorsement, our ministry has been undertaking a review of the 1999 Fiji Poverty Alleviation and Eradication Strategy Framework. We have completed consultations and now are developing framework that will guide poverty alleviation efforts through to 2030. This framework is not simply a policy document, it is a national commitment. It will ensure that our programs are efficient, targeted, evidence-based, and sustainable. Its broader goals are clear, that people are experiencing poverty have equitable access to opportunities and essential services across all the government agencies, that they are enabled to participate fully in society, that they develop the capabilities needed to improve their well-being sustainably. Mr. Speaker, our coalition government remains steadfast in strengthening Fiji's social protection systems through our national commitment to gender equality, inclusion, and dignity for all. Mr. Speaker, as of December 2025, more than 108,000 Fijians receive assistance through our 4 major social protection programs. 46,000 benefit from mobility assistance and 22,000 receive transport support. These are not just numbers. They represent families who can put food on the table, elderly citizens who can access care, and children who can go to school with dignity. In line with His Excellency's call for a more responsive and inclusive system, the Ministry is undertaking ambitious reforms. Guided by the 2021 Social Assistance Policy, we are rolling out a new social protection management information system and in the process of finalizing our integrated beneficiary management system. These digital reforms will streamline operations, strengthen accountability, reduce duplication, and improve service delivery. We are updating the proxy means test model for the Family Assistance Scheme using the latest household expenditure data to ensure fairness and accuracy. We are strengthening monitoring and evaluation frameworks so that every dollar spent delivers measurable impact. Mr. Speaker, social protection must not trap people into dependency. It must open doors to independence. We have started to pilot economic inclusion programs for our social protection beneficiaries. 99 beneficiaries have completed Start Your Own Business training in collaboration with the Ministry of Commerce. 160 recipients have received seed grants to establish income generation programs, from poultry farming, fishing, to tailoring, catering, and handicrafts. Skills training partnerships with FNU, Fiji National University, and Flour Mills of Fiji have equipped beneficiaries with sewing and baking skills. We are now working with more families, from poverty to productivity, from dependence to dignity. Mr. Speaker, when a nation empowers its women, it secures its own future and prosperity. In 2026, our national priority is the implementation of the Women's Economic Empowerment National Action Plan 2025 to 2030. We have set bold national targets, increasing women's labor force participation to 60% by 2030, expanding women-owned MSMEs to 50% by 2029. These are not symbolic targets, they are transformative commitments. It's a shift away from tokenistic short-term or symbolic gestures towards structural long-term investments in gender equality. We are shifting our focus from just awareness to market-driven, measurable, results-oriented interventions. And our priorities include expanding digital inclusion for rural women, ensuring geography does not determine their destiny, strengthening product development and market readiness for women artisans, revitalizing women's market platforms and help set up centralized markets for rural women's products so they have an easy access to market and they can get cash readily. To work with Ministry of Agriculture to support the National Women's Agriculture Symposium, recognizing women as central to food security and primary industries, establishing structured mentorship programs for women-led businesses, and strengthening women's leadership pathways within the civil service. But empowerment is not only economic, Mr. Speaker, it is also about safety, justice, and dignity. We have launched shelter guidelines for gender-based violence-safe homes, progressed the National Action Plan to prevent violence against women and girls, and completed our 6th CEDAW reporting cycle. Survivors must receive timely, compassionate, and effective support. Justice must be delivered because if justice is delayed, it's justice denied. And for this reason, service delivery protocol across all agencies have been reviewed to ensure support and justice is delivered on time. Gender equality is not a women's issue. It is a national development imperative. Through gender transformative institutional capacity development, this government is working to integrate women's needs into policies and budgets across 14 government agencies. Mr. Speaker, the rise in substance abuse among our youth demands urgent and unified action. Recent child-focused policies, including the Child Justice Act, Child Care and Protection Act 2024, and Fiji's Health Promoting Schools and School Health Policy 2024 to 2029, creates opportunities to address the impact of the drugs crisis on children and adolescents within existing government framework. We are establishing Child Wellbeing and a Recovery Center to help rehabilitate and reintegrate our children who are on the streets and struggling with drug addiction. We are also establishing a National Alcohol and Other Drugs Rehab Center for girls in partnership with Empower Pacific. But rehabilitation is not enough. We must prevent, intervene early, and support integration. Support reintegration. We need to ensure we are providing wraparound services for children exposed to drugs, delivering case management to make sure their complex needs are handled in a comprehensive way. In partnership with UNICEF Pacific and Government of Japan, we are embarking on a project for prevention measures against drug use among children and youth. This 4-year project will support national systems, strengthen community resilience, and ensure holistic services across our ministries are available for children and adolescents to remain healthy, safe from drugs, and thriving. Importantly, it will involve linking with civil society and faith-based organizations who have a key role to play and have already offered their services. We are working with our partners on developing a national action plan to prevent all forms of violence against our children. This initiative reflects our urgent commitment to safeguarding every child, recognizing that their safety is a non-negotiable foundation for our nation's future. Mr. Speaker, dignity must extend to every stage of life and ability. The revised Fiji Disability Policy 2025 to 2035 marks a decisive shift from recognizing rights to realizing them. It prioritizes accountability, accessibility, inclusive education, rehabilitation, economic empowerment, and protection for persons with psychosocial and intellectual disabilities. For older persons, recent data shows an alarming rise in psychological and financial exploitation. Mr. Speaker, we are working on strengthening protections for older persons, are in the process of reviewing the national aging policy that expired more than a decade ago, to ensure that our elders who built this nation live in security and respect. We are working with Ministry of Housing and Heart Homes to ensure we have additional aged care facilities to take care of our older persons in need within this financial year, while we scope to upgrade and develop aged care facilities in Suva and in Lautoka. His Excellency has asked us to all to recommit ourselves to the spirit of nationhood, not only on Fiji Day, but every day acknowledging unity in diversity. As a nation, we've had many traumatic events and carry many wounds, Mr. Speaker. We need to heal these wounds if we wish to build nationhood. As Nelson Mandela said in his autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom, and I quote, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies," unquote. We have to collectively take responsibility. Take the time to reflect and heal in order not to pass our trauma to future generations. Fiji Truth and Reconciliation Commission creates this platform, and His Excellency has urged us all to make use of this platform so we can collectively, genuinely move the nation forward. Let us celebrate our diversity by respecting different traditions and engaging in cross-cultural events, fostering deeper mutual understanding within our communities. This month is very special indeed. It is Chinese New Year, and happy Chinese New Year to our Chinese brothers and sisters. This month is considered holy in most of our tradition, and I wish Ramadan Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters, Holi ki Shubhkamnaएं to our Hindu brothers and sisters, and wish our Christian brothers and sisters a meaningful Lent season. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, His Excellency has set a clear and principled direction for our nation, one grounded in unity, compassion, and shared responsibility. Our work reflects his vision across poverty reduction, women's empowerment, child protection, disability inclusion, and support for older persons. And the coalition government is committed to delivering for the most vulnerable. To this House, let us rise above division where it matters the most. The vulnerable do not ask which side of the aisle we sit on. They ask only whether we will stand for them. Our direction is firm, our commitment is unwavering, and our work continues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and may God bless Fiji.